So recently, I had my first day at production class, and already it has changed a lot of my viewpoints about filmmaking in general. Let's go over some of the bullet points. I'm literally all I'm gonna be doing for this video. I'm gonna be going like the script is just my notes from the class. So let's go over it. First of all, one of the things that my teacher mentioned is the fact that apparently 90% of the films that you watch, no, not 90%, 95% of the films that you watch are distributed by a studio. So only 5% are independent. And yeah, I guess this really put into perspective how it's really hard to get your film really out there if you're a independent filmmaker. And again, something else that I mentioned, the professor also mentioned, is the fact that a independent film is not a film, it's a genre. It looks independent, it looks low budget, right? And when I first thought about this, I was like, that doesn't make sense. A film is just, a independent film is as good as a a real film, one that's released nationally. But whenever you think of a independent film, you think of it of more as being low budget, being like set in one place. You know, you can tell when something is independent, and it is separated as an art form. I guess it's not something that it has to be. It's more of like an add-on, just like any genre. I do agree. Genres are just there to tell the story that you already have in mind, and just like it's like an add-on to what you already think is just an add-on to the story. That's what it is. At least that's how I see genres, and so I see independent films the same way. The fact that it's low budget, the fact that you're limited, just adds to the presentation. And something else that separates a studio film from a independent film is the fact that studio films have films that have funding and distribution. Independent films usually just have funding, not a lot of funding, that is, but they still have funding and they don't have distribution, meaning that they won't be released in theaters. At least, and if they are released in theaters, not in a lot of theaters. So, I mean, this hit me, and I started thinking about different ways because I do want to make one of my goals is to create like a studio, right? Um, at first, it was like a production studio, but as I learned more about what how films are actually made, how they're getting started, I started thinking about how production studios are completely something different, which I'll elaborate in a little bit. But I started thinking about of my end goal and how am I gonna get there, because I thought it would be much easier. My original plan was to have this YouTube channel. Eventually start making money from this YouTube channel. I also start releasing some content, some maybe take sponsorships, maybe sell something to you guys if you guys want to. But yeah, make money through social media. Eventually use that money to fund my films, and then through those films, I post them on social media, get a bit bigger audience, and so start making money from that. And then eventually, once I have enough money, build like my own studio, my own production company, and keep making more films. My end goal is just to have more control over my films, right? And what I made me realize through that production class is that you won't really have control through your films anyway. You're gonna have to tweak your script or your idea for a film in order to service making more money, because that's at the end of the day all that matters is making money, at least for studios, right? And even like the more smaller studios that claim to be independent, they still have to work with bigger studios like Disney, Warner Brothers, Universal. They still have to work for them because they have to have distribution. How it works is that a small studio will go up to a big studio. Let's just say Disney, right? With the film that they have, and they want to show it in theaters. Disney will make a deal with the small studios and take a certain percentage, and they will help that studio be distributed across theaters. Also, theaters take a lot from films. I did not know that apparently theaters take half of the money, like around there. Here, I actually want to Google this because I know they take a lot. Okay, so apparently they take 40% of the box office. So let me put that into perspective. Okay, let's take the Sonic movie, right? The Sonic movie made approximately $225 million, and movie theaters take about 40%. So movie theaters got around 90 million, right? So if we subtract 250 minus 90, okay, now Sonic movie has made 135 million in the box office. But oh wait, how much did the movie cost? It cost 122 million. So that will make it so it only made a total of 13 million back. However, something that they don't mention when they tell you the cost of how much the movie was made, they never tell you how much it took to advertise. And in my production class, they mentioned that usually the the ads and the advertising for the movie usually cost about 50 million. So in total, the movie probably lost money. They probably made some other deals like with other countries, which is I'll talk about. But yeah, the movie actually probably cost like around 100, no, 280 million, and it probably made like a million back. I have no idea. I don't want to do the math or anything, but I just want to make you put into perspective how much a movie costs, because it costs a lot of money. And I also want to put into perspective how much theaters actually take, because I thought like, okay, the Avengers movie made like probably like a billion. I don't know how much it made, but it made like a lot of money. I thought it made a lot of money through the box office, but I guess how films make money is through other means, right? Probably through like merchandising, franchise potential, probably other stuff like making deals with like other companies, probably putting like ads there too. Like I remember recently I watched. Oh yeah, I watched Breaking Bad recently because it's so good, and I love rewatching it. And I was like, oh, there's a Fruit Loops box. Fruit Loops probably paid Breaking Bad to have that there. There's Spider Verse too, right? Or like the Amazing Spider Man. I remember Peter uses like what's it called, like Sony headphones. You know, those ads are there in order to advertise their product, right? But that also makes it so they fund your film. Just something to think about, right? We said apart that what makes a studio film separated from an independent film is the fact that a studio film gets distribution and funding. Now, how would an independent film get distribution? Obviously, there's the obvious where the studio, a small studio company, production company, goes to a studio and asks for to make a deal, right? We went over that. But there's also Sundance. Sundance is where people go to show their short film and get it distributed. Maybe get it distributed. Maybe there's like an investor. He finds the film has potential to make a lot of money. He funds it, and so the film is made. But apparently, what my professor said is the fact that out of the, I think it's like 30 or 10 years of Sundance, out of those years, apparently about 5 to 10 films got funded, got distribution, I mean, which is really crazy to think about. Like, out of the 30 years, only 5 or 10, it's not a lot if you think about it. Like, that's like what, 50% of the films shown? Well, there's probably like a lot of films shown. There's a lot of films shown, actually. The fact that only five got chosen to get distribution, it's kind of crazy. But that got me thinking of okay, since Sundance is used to get distribution, and the chances of getting distribution is really low, then why do people go there anyway? I don't know the answer to that. That's something that my professor is gonna tell me next week. What we do for our assignments is, after the class is done, we go to we write in a piece of paper our takeaways from the class. What are we thinking about the class? And asking questions about the class topic as well. And one of the questions that I wrote is that exact same thing, where it's like, if people go to Sundance to get distribution, and the chances of getting distribution is so low, then why do people go to film events anyway if the chances are so low? And so just for the fun of it, just to get your film promoted, to have it in front of more eyes, to network, that's something that I want to know, and I'll tell you my professor's answer next week. Okay, I mentioned that I was gonna separate what's a production company. I thought production company was the one that like produced the films, the one that you know, said yes to the idea of a film to get film started. Apparently not. Production companies apparently are responsible for commercials and music videos. So it's pretty much the marketing aspect of movie making. Studios give money and hire crew for the film. So studios are the ones that have more control. And if you really think about it, anyway, there's not a lot of big studios. There's only six. I can't tell you all of them. I think it's what, Disney, Universal, Warner Brothers, Sony. I know one of them is Netflix. I just can't tell you the last one. We'll get into Netflix too. Why is the worst studio? But yeah, there's not a lot of studios, so it's gonna be really hard for an independent filmmaker to make their own studio because they're competing against one like the top. So it's really taking me into perspective. Like, do I wanna compete with the top or do I wanna work with the top? Right? I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't. I don't mind working with like Warner Brothers or something, or like Universal. I don't know about Disney. I don't know about Disney though. But yeah, apparently, in order to be one of the greats, you have to work for the greats. You know. Yeah, I guess there's also taking into perspective like what I want to do. Do I want to be like the CEO of a big company and be responsible for the business side of things? Or do I want to be more creative and, write my own films, direct my own films, act on my own films? And yeah, I guess what I what I'm thinking about is pretty much I want to be at the top of my own thing, of my own job, which is I want to be a director or actor, whichever one of both. But I want to be at the top of those things. If working for somebody else means that I have to, if I work for somebody else, does that mean that I have to sacrifice not being at the top of those jobs? No, I could probably still be at the top of those jobs. I just have to, work hard in that job under someone, right? And I guess I should just try to find someone that I could work under, that I respect, that I like, that can get me places, can get me at the top. Filmmaking is a job where connections are really important, so I should probably focus on that a little bit, right? We'll see which studio I end up working with, though. Here, I'm also curious. Leave a comment in the comment section below. What studio would you want to work under? Like, if you don't know like the big studios, just search on Google the top six movie studios, and yeah, just look at them and see which one would you wanna work under, and leave a comment in the section below. I'd love to know. I also want to talk about Netflix is one of the six studios, right? And apparently Netflix is going bankrupt. My professor mentioned how before the pandemic hit, Netflix was gonna go bankrupt, and then the pandemic hit, and then the stocks went up again, since people were spending time at home watching films, and so they were going up again, and now they're going back down because the pandemic is over and people are starting to go to theaters again. I can't remember why. Okay, let's see if there's in my notes why they're failing. I know it has to do with streaming, but I just don't know why. It doesn't say in my notes why Netflix is failing. Okay, just keep that in mind then. Netflix is failing, so don't put any stocks on it. I'm just gonna like rapid fire some of the bullet points that I have on my notes. Producers sell to studios, like the movie. That's something that I already said. Um, Producers convince studios for funding and distribution. Producers go to invest. Oh no, I said that. Producers, production companies are just producers. So whenever you think of a production company, it's just usually one person. So okay, the job of a producer is pretty much to have the film be made while also keeping the creative aspects of the film. I don't know how a producer might do this. They have to convince to a studio to make the film, but I don't know how they would try to keep the creative aspects of it. I guess that's something that I'm gonna find out later, right? And this is also something to think about, but just thought about, would I sacrifice the creative aspects of my film if it meant the film got made? I said yes, starting out, on my first couple of films, but maybe later, once I have my foot in the door and I'm already in the industry, maybe I try to, sneak my way around and try to be more creative when it comes to my films. I also want to know, like, would you say yes? Would you sacrifice the creative aspects of your film if it meant you got funding and distribution? Okay, and then there's also the head of creative development. I guess this is just the part of a studio that looks at a film that is being pitched by a producer, and is the one that tweaks it that way it's more marketable, and maybe also creeps that creative aspects of the film. Changes the film in order to be more marketable and creative. And he's the one that says that gives the go ahead, that says yes, we're gonna make this film, or no, we're not gonna make this film. The creative the head of creative development. Remember that. The head of creative development is the one that says yes or no to your film. Also, internationally, you can get funding. Other countries can give funding to your film in order to appeal towards your country. Like I heard that apparently some Chinese actor was like the Chinese I don't know if it was the government, but they paid a film to have a Chinese actor in it, and so you can get funding from other countries by trying to appeal to other countries, right? And apparently, international box office is 75% of it. Like only apparently 25% of the box office comes from America. So a lot of it comes internationally, and there's a lot of and what appeals to internationals from other countries most is actors. And if you think about it, there's a lot of international actors who are like really popular. For example, The Rock is from Hawaii. Vin Diesel is from Puerto Rico. I don't know. I don't know where he is, but he's also Latino, international. So just think about the most famous actors, and you'll see that they're probably mostly international, or like different race. All right. Lastly, I wanna put into perspective. I don't know why, but all of a sudden, my professor just started talking about the probability of you getting hired and getting paid for the job that you do. And he put into perspective by giving this example. There's about 25,000 directors in the guild, in the, what's it called? In the union. If you don't know, the union is where you have to sign up in order to become an official, like, filmmaker. And, other jobs have a union too, and you have to sign up. I don't know, like, the requirements, but there's around 25,000 directors in the US. There's about, like, around 1 million students who want to be directors, and only 25,000 out of those 1 million are actual directors. Then out of those 25,000, 5,000 are actual directors. So only 25,000 are signed up to be directors, and only 5,000 are actual directors. And then only about 650 make a living as a director. So out of those 25,000, only 650 make a living as a director. Very small, right? When I thought about this, I was like, okay, it's about to be 250 because I'm next. I mean, there's going to be 251 because I'm next. Yeah, so, it's important to learn and be creative and, know everything about your job, the film job that you want to do. But it's also important to keep in mind that you also have to make a living. You also have to pay rent. You also have to eat food. So, take that as what you want. This information is just the information that I got from that class, and I'm giving to you for free. Do you think about how valuable this is? I'm paying money to go to this class, and then I'm just repeating the information that I got from this class, and I'm giving you for free on YouTube. I don't know about you, but I subscribe to this channel. Yeah, so with that, thank you everybody so much for watching this video. If you liked it, make sure to leave a like. Subscribe if you're new and like my channel. And always remember to live your life like there's no tomorrow. I'd subscribe if I were you.